The cabin lights flickered crimson as Flight 309 hit violent turbulence. Overhead bins rattled, oxygen masks dangled like ghostly vines. Passengers screamed, gripping their seats. In the aisle stood Mira, a calm-looking flight attendant, though her trembling hands betrayed her composure. "Please stay seated," she shouted, her voice shaking slightly. But deep inside, her fear wasn't just for survival. It was for something far older, something she'd buried for 12 long years. In the cockpit, Captain Raymond fought for control. The hydraulic system had failed. The control yoke barely responded. Co-pilot Saad's forehead was drenched in sweat. "Sir, we've lost all main controls." "Altimeter's fluctuating!" Raymond's voice came through the speakers, shaky and uncertain. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're facing a serious technical malfunction. Please remain calm." But there was no calm. The aircraft was descending fast, 29,000 feet and dropping. In the cabin, Mira could feel the tilt of the plane through her bones. Her mind flashed back to another cockpit, smaller, faster, the roaring engine of her F-16 fighter jet 12 years ago. She remembered the call sign painted on her helmet. Viper. Back then, she was Flight Lieutenant Mira Khan, the youngest female fighter ace in the Pakistan Air Force. She'd taken down 3 enemy aircraft during a classified mission. But one mission went wrong. A missile malfunction forced her to eject over the sea. Her survival was classified. She disappeared, presumed dead. Since then, she had lived quietly, working as a commercial flight attendant, hiding the pilot within her. Until today, the cockpit door opened suddenly. Captain Raymond stumbled out, pale and shaken. "Autopilot's dead." Rudder jammed. "We've got 7 minutes before we hit the sea." Passengers gasped. Mira's heart raced. She recognized the faint warning beeps, the same sound as a fighter's emergency override sequence. It couldn't be coincidence. The co-pilot shouted from inside, "We can't shut down the override! The system's locked! Override!" That word hit her like lightning. She knew that system. She'd trained on a similar Boeing model during her transition program years ago. One specific phrase echoed in her mind. "Override code 1 Delta 9. She froze for a second, torn between her secret and the lives on board. But when a child cried out in the back row, her hesitation shattered. Mira ran toward the cockpit. "Let me help!" The co-pilot tried to block her. "Ma'am, please step back!" Her tone turned steel-cold. "Either you move or we all die." Raymond stared into her eyes. Something in her voice, the authority, the precision, wasn't of a flight attendant. "Who are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. She just stepped in, sat in the co-pilot's seat, and began scanning the system warnings. Her fingers moved with the confidence of someone who'd been here before. "Hydraulic assist is gone," she said. "We need to switch to manual mode and reroute the servo link." "Trust me." Raymond hesitated, then nodded. Mira took a deep breath. "Okay, initiating manual override." And for the first time in 12 years, Viper returned to the skies. Mira's fingers moved swiftly across the control panel, typing in a sequence that hadn't been used in over a decade. The cockpit filled with the sound of alarms and warning lights flashing red. Captain Raymond and co-pilot Saad exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to stop her or trust her. "Manual override engaged," Mira muttered. "We've got about 5 minutes to stabilize before the backup fuel lines lock out." Captain Raymond leaned closer. "Who are you, really?" Her voice was steady. "Someone who's done this before." Outside, the ocean shimmered like a cold mirror beneath them. Altitude 18,000 feet and dropping. The air pressure screamed through the cabin walls. Passengers clutched each other, praying. In the cockpit, Mira unbuckled the co-pilot's belt and slid fully into his seat. "Captain, switch your focus to stabilizers." "I'll take the yoke," Saad protested. "You can't." "You're not cleared," she cut him off sharply. "I'm cleared for combat-grade emergency protocols." "Do it!" The authority in her tone silenced everyone. She pulled the control column halfway, feeling the resistance in her arms. The hydraulics were gone. She had to use sheer force and precision to guide the plane. "Left servo offline," Raymond called. "I know," she replied. "Bypass it through secondary control." "How do you know this system?" he demanded. Mira exhaled. Because I helped design the override during my Air Force days. The cockpit fell silent for a beat. Saad froze, realization dawning. You were military? Her eyes stayed locked on the horizon. Not just military. A pause. They called me Viper. Raymond's eyes widened. Viper? The Viper who vanished in 13? Before she could respond, the radio crackled. This is Falcon 1 from Air Force Command. Unidentified commercial jet, you are descending rapidly. Identify yourself. Mira reached for the mic. This is Flight 309. We've lost full control but attempting manual recovery. There was silence. Then a shocked voice replied, Who's flying that aircraft? She hesitated for half a second. Her voice softened as she said, This is Viper. A long pause. Then, copy that, Viper? You're alive! The entire cockpit froze. Even Raymond forgot the panic for a moment. Falcon 1's voice came again, stronger now. Viper, 2 F-22 escorts are en route to your coordinates. Hold altitude at 12,000 if possible. Mira looked at the monitor. We'll try, but the rudder's half gone. Use the old Alpha protocol, the Air Force controller said. You remember it? A small smile tugged at her lips. I never forget my codes. She typed the series. A1RD9OX, the very same override code that had saved her once before and cost her everything. The plane jolted violently, then steadied slightly. Alarms dimmed. The nose began to rise. Mira adjusted the flaps manually, breathing hard. Altitude at 15,000 and climbing, Raymond announced in disbelief. It's working. Outside the window, 2 distant shapes appeared, sleek, silver jets approaching fast. The passengers gasped as they saw the fighter planes form up alongside the commercial airliner. One of the F-22 pilots radioed in. Viper, this is Falcon 7. We've got your back, ma'am. Guide her in. For the first time in years, Mira felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel. Belonging. She straightened in her seat. Her hands steady now. Falcon 7, we're following your lead. Prepare runway for emergency descent. In the cabin, a little girl clutched her mother and whispered, Mom, is she flying the plane now? Her mother nodded tearfully. Yes, sweetheart. She's saving us. As the F-22s took formation, Mira's voice returned to calm command mode. Engaging emergency descent pattern. Let's bring these people home. And at that moment, the world finally knew. Outside the cockpit windows, 2 F-22 Raptors glided beside Flight 309 like silent guardians. The passengers stared in awe, whispering prayers and disbelief. For them, this was no longer just a flight. It had become a battle between life and death. In the cockpit, Mira's voice was calm but firm. Captain, maintain thrust at 60%. I'll handle the manual descent. Raymond nodded, still shaken. You really are her. The Viper, she smiled faintly. Once maybe. Now I'm just trying to land this bird alive. The radio crackled again. Viper, this is Falcon 1. You are clear for emergency approach, Karachi Airbase runway 31. Winds are stable at 14 knots. We're ready for you, Mira acknowledged. Copy that, Falcon 1. Beginning final descent sequence. Her hands moved like they had a memory of their own. Every switch, every lever, she knew exactly what it did. The aircraft was responding to her like an old friend that had just remembered her touch. Flaps to 30, she ordered. Flaps 30 confirmed, Raymond replied. Eyes wide in amazement. Altitude, 7,000 feet. Speed, 190 knots. The plane trembled but held steady. Passengers gripped their armrests, some crying, some whispering thanks under their breath. The little girl from before smiled through tears. She's really doing it, Mom. In the control tower, Air Force officers watched the radar. One of them whispered, She's alive. After 12 years, another smiled. You don't forget legends. Back in the cockpit, a loud alarm blared, fuel pressure dropping. Mira's eyes darted to the gauge. We're leaking fuel from engine 2. Raymond panicked. Should we shut it down? She shook her head. If we do, we lose thrust balance. We'll ride it till touchdown. The plane began its final descent. The city lights of Karachi shimmered below like a sea of stars. Falcon 7 to Viper. You're looking good, ma'am. Altitude 4,000. You've got this. Mira exhaled deeply. Thank you, Falcon 7. Tell command. It's good to be home. Her voice cracked slightly on the last word. As they neared the runway, the passengers braced for impact. The landing gear groaned but deployed. The wind roared like thunder outside. Speed 160 knots. 140, Rehman called out. Hold her steady, Mira whispered. Come on, girl. Just a little more. Then, impact. The plane's wheels slammed onto the tarmac, sparks flashing beneath. The cabin shook violently as the brakes screamed. Reverse thrust, she commanded. The engines roared one last time, and then silence. The aircraft slowed, rolling to a final stop. For a long second, no one moved. Then, one by one, the passengers began to clap. Tears, laughter, cheers, all blending together in a wave of relief. Mira removed her headset, breathing heavily. Captain Rehman turned to her. You just saved 187 lives, she smiled softly. I only did what I was trained to do. Outside, emergency crews and Air Force officers surrounded the aircraft. The F-22 pilots saluted from their cockpits. Mira stepped out of the plane, her hair whipping in the night breeze. A senior officer approached, gray hair, proud eyes. He saluted her sharply. Welcome back, Viper. The sky never forgot you. She saluted back, a tear glistening on her cheek. Neither did I, sir. As dawn broke, golden sunlight washed over the runway. Reporters later called it the miracle descent. But for Mira Khan, it wasn't a miracle, it was redemption. She looked up at the sky one last time, whispered, override complete, and walked away, the legend reborn.